5 reasons a recession is a great time to invest in your brand. 1, a good brand strengthens your marketing. Second is that slower times is a great time to invest in projects that you otherwise don't have time to do. Third is that clients are less likely to cut ties with really strong brands. So when brands are on the chopping block, you want to have the strong brand that customers trust and believe in. Fourth is that after every dip, there's a rise. And those that are surviving and thriving and investing at the bottom are the ones who are going to rise the fastest and the furthest on the outset. 5 is that when you're pruning during a recession, you can whittle down to brand singularity, which is ultimately going to set you up for success in the near future. A great brand strengthens your marketing. During recessions, marketers oftentimes have less resources and need to do more in order to stay in front of customers who are tightening their purse strings. This means that every piece of content you make has to have a significant impact. If your existing brand is like a bucket full of holes, you're going to miss all the customers that would otherwise stay in that bucket, and they're going to leak out the sides. That really means that a weak brand makes it an uphill battle for your marketers and your ad spend. On the other hand, of course, when you have a strong brand, every bit of marketing effort and piece of content that you're putting out is capturing those leads and building up the mental image of your brand in the minds of your customers. Slower times economically and in business is a great time to do the brand work that you're otherwise too busy to do. Building a brand is at once the thing that you always know you should be doing, but is always sort of, we'll do that tomorrow, we'll get to that next week. When it's a slower time economically and you're facing more challenges, that's actually a perfect time to invest in that brand because you have more time behind the desk, you have more time for your meetings and marketers, and investing in that brand is going to ultimately set you up for success as soon as you start to rebound. Every time there's a recession, there's a shakeup in the market and in the minds of brands of your customers. That means that brands or ideas that customers usually trust and perceive to be safe now become shaky, and there's ample opportunity for other businesses to sweep in and capture that headspace of their customers. By investing in your brand during slower times, you can take advantage of some of those doubts in your customers' minds. Hello? And start to position yourself for success on the outset when it really becomes a land grab for brands. Clients and customers are less likely to cut ties with strong brands that they believe in. That means as the economy ebbs and flows in and out of recessions, the companies who have invested in brands are going to be the ones that continue to maintain that headspace in their customers. Basically, if your brand is generic and feels like everything else on the shelf, then you're really easy to discard and to move on from. But if in the minds of your customers you have a high perceived value because you have a high quality brand, then they're less likely to cut ties with you and more likely to actually come closer to you for a sense of safety in unsure economic times. Remember, a brand is always two-faced. One is the message that your brand tells customers, and the other is what customers tell themselves. In order to succeed in wavering marketplaces, it's crucial for customers to be able to identify your brand among competitors. Yes, there's a tendency to look like other companies who are successful and position yourself like other companies who are successful, but those are really red, bloodied waters in terms of brand positioning. By developing a strong, unique brand strategy for your company and business, you not only differentiate yourself from your competitors, but you also establish something that's really important to your customers and uniquely identifying to you. These customer relationships that you're building, built on shared values and belief systems, are some of your most valuable assets going forward in the marketplace during a recession or unsteady economic times. According to the SANA 2022 Buyers and Business Report, 84% of B2B customers would buy from a supplier who they have a positive relationship, even if the terms aren't as great. That means that when you're investing in your brand and in those customer experiences, what you're really doing is moving the needle from a poor little 16% chance to an 84% chance just by having a positive relationship. During recessions, customer buying habits change and fluctuate all the time. They're really unsure, they're sort of scared, and so they're testing to see what's going to give them a sense of safety in their wallets and in their lives. Investing in your brand gives you a solid foundation to show that you're trustworthy, that you have an idea of where you're going and what you're projecting the future to be, which is ultimately this sort of sense of calmness and assuredness that these customers oftentimes want. Your brand core is the thing that we like to build that keeps you well rooted and grounded and shows customers that you know what you're doing and that you're going to make sound decisions no matter how shaky the times are. I like to talk a lot about brand singularity, and during times of recession, it really happens naturally. What happens is the projects or the initiatives that aren't really profitable or aren't as well thought through and not really tied to that brand core are things that naturally die off, sort of like the leaves in the fall. When your business happens to fall in this sort of natural transition state, is a great time to invest in your brand. We like to take all these shuffling pieces, things that are new, things that are old and that we're getting rid of, and to bundle them up and wrap them into a new brand core, a new brand promise, so that people have an idea and are confident in where you're going as a business. Companies oftentimes overlook their employer brand during recessions. Now more than ever, companies have to have an employer brand, or one that expresses the internal values of the company and poises those and puts those sort of on their sleeve so that they can be attracting the right kind of employees and talent. So many employees now are looking to brands and doing research in them just because they're interested in where that company is going. During a recession, when employees are shuffling, they're leaving companies, they're being added to other companies, is a great time to scoop up a new talent pool that you might not otherwise have opportunity for. Of course, the best way to do that is have a strong brand core where you're naming your purpose, your mission, your vision, and your values so that those employees and potential applicants can see what you're doing and you can draw in better talent that's going to help you come out of the recession better than ever.